Okay, looks like we are live on Instagram now. It's great news. Evening, gents. How are we doing?
Good, you?
Yeah, very well. Just a quick disclaimer. I'm sure if you are watching this at home and it's working, we have no idea if it's working. I'm using a new piece of technology here, so hopefully could be going live on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. So we'll see what's happening. We'll open this up. This is basically a Q&A session. So online with me tonight, Lloyd Hours, currently just outside of Oxford in the UK. Justin Wally, who for once is back in the UK, normally a bit more of a globetrotter, a bit less glamorous tonight. And myself, Matt Webb, who's in the southwest of England. Us three, obviously we're not dialing in live from the Marshall Islands, but the three of us have been working along with other people, but planning the first ever Marshall Islands international fixtures, which is being part of the Outrigger Challenge Cup taking place in, quite scarily, a few weeks now. We'll be flying out
3 weeks.
7th of August. Yeah, 3 weeks time. Yeah. We got a little bit cocky, I think, because back in January when we were mooting this idea, it seemed a hell of a long way away. 7 months later, we are in a good position. We'll basically, the structure of this, we'll talk you through the updates of the tournament, our match, where we're at with the planning. Lloyd and Justin, obviously, we've announced our coaching team for the event as well. So I think it's really interesting for you guys to talk about that a little bit more as well. But yeah, quite scarily, I have no idea where time's gone. And we've still got a few things to fall into place. We're still fundraising and still working on that regard. But quick introduction. I guess I'll hand over to you guys. If you're not aware of who you guys are, Justin, what are you currently working on?
Yeah, obviously we're doing a little bit of support of you guys with the lead up to us going away to the US. Certainly not doing as much as you two, but chipping away where I can. Yeah, very honoured to be part of the coaching staff when we're over at the Outrigger Cup in the US. Loving the opportunity to be involved in that, and yeah, looking forward to it. All like it's suddenly almost upon us, isn't it? It doesn't seem it doesn't seem real. It's 3 weeks away somehow. It's a little bit mad.
Yeah, and Justin, obviously, this project it tries to claw away at your time, but outside of this, you do football tours as well, and you're currently you're normally based in slightly more exotic locations than.
Yeah, I woke up in Bosnia and Herzegovina this morning. Travelled down to Croatia. I live close to Dubrovnik, so flew back to not so exotic East Midlands Airport. I'm now in Leicestershire. Yeah, I work. My real day job these days is like tourism trip leaders stuff. So I'll be doing 2 days from now. I'll be doing a tour around the UK for 11 days with a bunch of pensioners from Australia and New Zealand, what have you. And yeah, as you mentioned, I sometimes do football tours as well. So this year I've done the Belgrade Derby, which is a lot of fun. Take groups to Belgrade, see that. Also do the Sarajevo Derby. Might do South America as well next year, just depending on how things go. Away days travel. Yeah, we go to Colombia, Argentina. We even go to Japan now. So
nice. Yeah, not yet the Marshall Islands, but I'm sure that will come in due time.
Yeah, just a bit of lack of games. The big Maduro Derby. Once that heats up a bit, we can start selling that.
Nice. And how about yourself, Lloyd? You're Banbury, Oxfordshire, but what's been occupying you with the Marshall Islands project recently?
To be honest, the most recent sort of stuff I think probably bored everyone to tears over the last couple of years, talking about different things we've been doing. Obviously, it's picked up momentum and huge sort of hands on deck now in terms of this game. But from my side, it's just different aspects as well. And we are working on a league structure for 2026. And I've been speaking to various people in terms of agents and just player recruiters and how we can get players into the league system. I'm still sort of trying to oversee the on island coaching in terms of in Madeira for kids and for adults. Adults are taking a bit of a break for a couple of months, but kids still hope ongoing where possible at the moment for over the summer. And then obviously the other side of it The busiest part is sort of collating everything in terms of technical side of the games coming up. Really, we've got our team of analysts who I think we'll touch on to in a minute as well, and go from that angle. But yeah, just organising the technical side and trying to make sure we're as prepared as we can be from as soon as that plane lands for every person. We get into the first group dynamic and actually have an opportunity to practice as a group.
Yeah, I think obviously before we go into a bit more detail with the teams who are locked in for the tournament, where the event's happening, the game itinerary as well, and I'm sure we'll get on to who's involved as well. It's probably important to know that obviously, whilst we are supported by a team of volunteers, both overseas, on island as well, Lloyd, you're pretty much involved in a lot of the operational aspects. So it's been quite challenging, I guess, to juggle. This is probably the biggest event for the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation today. It's probably the most headline worthy as well. But how have you found that kind of trying to keep momentum going for all the stuff that happens on the ground? Obviously, we're very lucky to have people on island delivering sessions, players still playing, but trying to make sure that we don't lose any momentum from that side.
Yeah, I think it's important, isn't it, that we make sure everything runs smoothly. Like stuff, we don't lose the focus of what's happening in Madeira, but at the same time, we also don't lose the focus of there is a league season starting in August in Kwajalein, and now Kwajalein comes under the the MISF banner. So we've got that aspect. But in terms of the operational side of it for this game, or these games in particular, the Outrigger in the US, yeah, it's amazing to see it all come together. We've got obviously the accommodation side of it, we've got the catering side of it, all those little bits that I'm hoping you touch on to about what your involvement is in a minute as well, Matt. But obviously, yeah, it's crazy to think all these little things, local transport for the nations, down to visa support in terms of players, and it's unbelievable, really. But yeah, it's those little logistic operations that you don't really see when you think of international football or football in general. And being a part of it it's exciting but nerve-wracking at the same time, especially when you realise it's 3 weeks till we go, 4 weeks till the games.
Yeah, and I think that's an important note you touched upon now. We want to be as transparent as possible for this project. Really wouldn't have been possible with what we've achieved to date without the support of global fan base, whether that's our family, friends, and the global soccer community who've supported us at every step. So, for example, our kit design competition, even the coaching jersey we wear now, has been designed by a graphic designer over in Argentina. So this project has really demonstrated what can be achieved when people from all around the world come together. So we want to see this as an opportunity to be transparent as possible. If you want to know what goes into organising, hopefully successfully, the organisation and playing of an international tournament, let alone a match, this is definitely an open forum to kind of ask any questions. So I think from now until the tournament, and even when we're there, we land in Arkansas 7th, 8th and 9th of August, and we'll be there for just over a week. So we'll be hopefully doing a lot more of these. So an opportunity to ask us anything. We'll be trying to give you full transparency behind the scenes, warts and all, or maybe not too much, but what happens until then. So very quickly moving on.
You off though, Matt. You can't move on without introducing what you're doing, because you're working on a hell of a lot in terms of the aspects of this as well.
I mean, so obviously, officially, we're looking at role as commercial marketing. Commercial-wise, probably failing a little bit because we haven't landed any of those big sponsors we promised at the start of the year. But in terms of, we're looking at how we can, plan this tournament. I love a Google Sheet and a Google Doc. So if anyone wants to see, I can bore them to death with all the documents we created trying to plan this. But I think the planning is going very well. I think the main thing for us is we're so lucky to have so many people who are keen to help us. So it's not just us three who are obviously been involved in the project for a couple of years now. We've got Woody in the US who's been pivotal in being our guy on the ground, operations, planning everything, getting the facilities ready. You've got your team of analysts, Lloyd, who they've kind of blown me away recently as well with the level of detail and depth they've gone into providing analytical reports on our opponents. Other team like volunteers. You've got Jake on social media and I won't ever do everyone justice by naming them now, but a load of people who are helping us. And we're really lucky to have growing a team. I think is going to be essential for us to deliver this project. It'd be impossible just for one or two people to try and do this, but we've got everyone. Then in the Marshall Islands itself, we've got Tony who's drilling your boys. We wake up to some videos of careful your phrasing, whipping the boys into shape with practice every day. So we wake up to videos of them running them around the track and field stadium doing sprints. Can't crop that one, can we? It's too late. It's that's in. But you know what I mean anyway. So he's making sure they're going to be physically prepared for the tournament. We've got Divine and Shem, who are board members, Scott Hill as well, and Quadriline. So we're very lucky. We'll get back on track. Very lucky to have a team of people all the way across the world who are making this this project possible.
Yeah, Matt, but you're a director of lots of everything. I would say. I mean, you just. It's phenomenal what you're doing. I don't know how you're keeping your head together. In all honesty,
it's good when we can chat. I think we have a few little side chats, don't we, where we can talk a bit of.
There's about 27 WhatsApp groups now.
Yeah, I'm going to say there's at least 20 WhatsApp groups
Yeah.
that I'm in. I bet there's another 30 on top of that. So
yeah,
even keeping sane with that, I don't know how you're doing it. So yeah.
No. Well, barely is probably the answer, but it does help. And I think as we see time go on and we see little bits of progress being made, I think for all of us involved in the project, we're very, kind of grateful when it all comes together. And hopefully this time next month, we'll be wrapping up and we'll be able to look back on fondly a very well put together event. Hopefully, I'm sure there's going to be aspects that maybe might not go as planned, but that's all part and parcel of it. I think as we've learned in this project, it's don't get too high with the highs, don't get too lows with the lows. And we're just taking each day as it comes. But yeah, we're pretty confident it's all going to go to plan. I'll move on kind of swiftly. Hopefully that's a nice little segue into obviously the teams we've got involved as well. So when we first announced the Outrigger tournament for 2025 in the Marshall Islands' first ever match, it was going to be Turks and Caicos, US Virgin Islands, and Guam. Guam unfortunately had to drop out, but they were swiftly replaced by Ozark United under-19s. So Lloyd, I don't know if you want to give us a quick overview because you've been instrumental in putting together these kind of partnerships, inviting these teams. Hopefully we'll be able to maybe speak to the directors or anyone from these kind of nations as well to get the inside scoop as to why they're excited about playing. But Lloyd, do you want to touch upon, you can mention Guam as well as to maybe why they dropped out. I think it's very normal. It's probably interesting for us to note that these nations we're playing, they obviously get FIFA funding. US Virgin Islands and Turks and Caicos, but they won't be getting any FIFA ranking points for playing us. So it's kind of a bit of a loss to them. So like, why would they be interested in taking part?
Yeah, I think initially when we reached out to them, so Turks and Caicos, I've actually been speaking to their technical director, Dane Ritchie, since before even going into this role with the Marshall Islands. And we've been talking for probably 3.5 years or so. Good guy, wants to help, does a really good job in Turks and Caicos itself. And I think for his aspect, from what he was saying, it's an opportunity for them to be a part of sporting history. They want to be able to be part of our first games. And I think being island nations, especially alongside US Virgin Islands as well, there is that feel of it's difficult. And although, they have CONCACAF funding, FIFA funding, they understand the struggles in terms of it's different when you're on a small island developing the game. And I think they want to be able to help from that aspect. US Virgin Islands, I've known Vin for a long time, who's their technical director, Vin Blaine, known from different capacities before he went into this role. But in terms of this role itself, it's the same. They wanted to be a part of history. They were the ones that then reached out and said, Vin himself has suggested Guam. Guam very keen. And it was their technical director, Ross Awa, who is, fantastic and does a really good job in Guam. We were speaking quite a lot. They were very keen, but like you said a minute ago, they don't get FIFA points for playing against us, and there are massive hurdles in terms of getting from Guam to the US, in terms of logistics, players logistics, all those little aspects. Where in reality they could play someone a little bit closer in a FIFA window and get points for it, and it makes sense for them to do so. Whereas Turks and Caicos, US Virgin Islands, it's an opportunity for them to realistically go and win a game. We are underdogs. Both nations are lowly ranked in FIFA terms, in the nicest possible way of putting it, I guess, because for them it's now an opportunity to go and get a win. They're putting out strong squads. It's going to be a huge test for us. But yeah, it's one of them things where everyone's sort of realising the collective goal of making it happen and being part of something that's never happened before for the Marshall Islands. And whoever plays against them is also going to go into the history books for it.
And Justin, obviously it's probably interesting for us to touch upon your kind of history as well. You've worked obviously most famously with Matabele Land in the Kanifa World Cup. And we know that obviously it's easy for us, privileged, we've kind of England fans, we look at the top end of the FIFA world rankings, and we probably look at the teams that are ranked below 200 and think, God, they must be absolutely terrible. But in reality, we know that's not true. So I think we're probably expecting Turks and Caicos, US Virgin Islands to be at a level above us, at least. They're going to be very competitive sides. But Justin, could you maybe speak upon what kind of quality we could expect from these teams we're playing against?
Yeah, I mean, I messaged Lloyd a couple of days ago about this, and we'll be talking about it a lot in the coming weeks. But I don't think there'll be any mugs. I mean, we're obviously taking a close look at them, and we can see weaknesses, we can see things we can exploit. But these are they're experienced sides. They play competitive matches against some very, very good teams. Some of their players play in fairly decent leagues, and you can't underestimate them. If we talk about the CONIFA World Cup, I mean, Matabeleland, when we played Padania in our first game, so Padania was like an area of Italy, but and you'd say, oh, who the heck are they? And then they had several players who were Serie C players. That's third tier Italy. They had a couple of lads who played Serie A. So there was a gentleman who'd played, I think it was 2 or 3 years before for Fiorentina. I mean, these are not mugs. He was like 38, but you can imagine how good he still was. And that's a non-FIFA nation. So they'll have some quality, and keenly they've got the experience, and they've got the experience in ways we haven't got. So we've got to be very, very respectful. We can't be too respectful because we've got to try and play. I mean, you don't just go and park a bus against teams, do you? But we've got to be really smart about how we respect them, I think.
Absolutely. And obviously the challenge for us is we haven't had a chance to get these group of or our squad together. Our squad we're going to announce, I think we're going to say next Sunday, as a bit of a teaser, but a chance previously to get all of our players together in one place. So the guys who live on island in Madro, obviously they train and play together frequently. They had the opportunity earlier this year, Lloyd, to go over to Kwajalein and play against the Kwajalein-based players. But aside from that, we also have a group of players who are Marshallese who live and breathe in the US as well. So bringing together kind of 3 distinct groups together is going to be an interesting challenge for us as well.
Yeah, hugely. I think it's going to be one of the ones where culturally it's different as well. Like the guys from Madro, for example, you think going from Madro to Kwajalein in February was a big step, whereas now they're going from Madro to the US, different time zones, different culture, different way of life. People watching them play a sport, it's completely different. So, like you said, it's going to be an interesting challenge.
Yeah. In terms of the kind of squad makeup as well, Turks and Caicos have announced the squad they're bringing for the Outrigger Challenge Cup. I think we were pleasantly surprised with the strength and depth. I think they're seeing this as an opportunity to maybe blood in a bit of new talent, but also there's some existing players. Obviously, Billy Forbes is probably the headline name, their kind of record scorer as well. So having seen that strength, and I know US Virgin Islands, Lloyd, we're expecting to see their squad maybe within a week or so. They've got an ID camp coming up.
24th, the last ID camp. What day are we today? 20th. The last ID camp is today, actually.
Okay.
So they're leaving their squad announcement as late as possible. But basically, they are looking to have as many experienced players as they can potentially have. But like you said a minute ago about Turks and Caicos, also blood a few young players. So they're holding recruitment events over the last 3 weeks, actually, where they're basically testing players and seeing what they can bring out.
In terms of this isn't something I have the answer to, actually, Lloyd. Do you know in terms of where their kind of players are playing in Turks and Caicos? Are they going to be mostly domestic-based players? Is there any USL or anyone else?
There's some USL players, mostly in-house on island, Turks and Caicos. But in terms of USVI, Vin was saying that the squad they'll bring is all USVI based.
Yeah, I guess that's one of the challenges with us as well. We were hosting or planning this event. We chose this window here just because it kind of suited the parties involved. It does obviously restrict if we were to ever do this again. If you're looking to invite any professional players, obviously pre-season started. It's not a FIFA window. So what was the reason we did go with these dates in the end, Lloyd?
One, and a selfish aspect, it actually suited half our squad because a couple of uni players that are playing for us in the US Season-wise, they were real optimal sort of times to come and play for us. Quadriline almost sort of shuts down for a couple of months, and July wasn't an option. And then September became a problem for the other nations. So August then opened out as the only real sort of opportunity to play. But then, like you said, in terms of other opportunities to play other nations, it closed it because it wasn't a FIFA window. So we had real interest from Bonaire, for example, as a CONCACAF nation to play, but they couldn't make August work. So it was fortunate that these two nations could and could play players that are not playing in leagues that are actually overlapping and starting now. So yeah, that's also part of the reason why they're selecting players that are mostly homegrown, because it suits the time frame. But yeah, going forward, I don't know if it would work again, especially if we wanted to play high caliber FIFA nations. We'd have to go alongside the FIFA calendar almost.
Absolutely, makes sense. And obviously, I think a word on Ozark United as well. It might be worth just kind of discussing what our partnership is with Ozark United. Yeah. For anyone who doesn't know, Ozark United is the newest professional team in the States. So they're based in the city of, Springdale, Fayetteville, Northwest Arkansas area anyway. So they'll be joining the USL in a couple of seasons, and we've been very lucky to kind of be able to lean on them as a soccer knowledge powerhouse in the area. The team they're putting out, Lloyd, is going to be an under 19 team. Yeah.
So they've started with the 19s over the last. They played competitively last year in MLS Next. They've got a thriving youth section, which is now growing and growing. Linked to Sport in Arkansas, which is then also a franchise sort of product of Sport in KC in the MLS. We obviously, myself and Matt went out in February 24, met with people from Ozark, like the head, directors. And it was amazing in terms of the support they want to give us, and being part of this project. This tournament is helpful for us. But on the same time, future aims are to link with them more and more. Pathways for players, opportunities for coaches to sort of share knowledge and work together. But also, at the same time, we are, even for this tournament, for example, the coach for the under-19 team of Ozark is Dean Johnson, and we'll come on to this in a second, I guess. But I've known Dean for quite a while, and even before the Marshall Islands project. And it was only, we were talking, and then it was only really recently that he's actually got the job in Arkansas, working for Northwest Arkansas Community College as their head coach, and tied it into Ozark United. And it's only sort of by chance that, he's now in the area we're going to be playing in. So he is actually on our coaching staff. So we're not playing against Ozark. But in terms of the rest of the week and the rest of the games, he's with us.
Nice. I think finally, just before we move on to kind of the next details about the tournament, I think interestingly, Justin, obviously with your experience of kind of coaching, I think Matabeleland is a really relevant example, but obviously you founded clubs in Latvia, etc. as well. The challenges of bringing together and molding a squad who maybe don't have, these guys haven't obviously trained together previously every single day, but what do you see being the biggest challenge of how we mold this group of players and prepare them within just a few days for a couple of very challenging matches?
Yeah, it's a bit of continuity and getting the game head on them, getting this our general philosophy across to them, and a sense of what we're about and how we're going to play. It's really not easy to drill that into people that come from different places and come together. You can even see that, to be honest, even with England squads over the years. They've come together. They've complained we've only had a few days to prepare before a match, and a lot of the players are new to each other, and then it doesn't necessarily work, or it works very well. It's not the easiest thing to achieve, because at the same time you've got lots of other things going on. You're thinking about working on set pieces and how to mitigate different threats from other teams. So we've got a finite amount of time, and you've kind of got to cram a lot in with the group. But the communication is off the pitch as well, very, very important, how we speak to them and get across what we're thinking that we want to do, really.
I know earlier this week, Lloyd, you were asking the team in the team messenger group chat for their song requests. So that's one little way we're going to try and bring people together. Obviously, it's a mixture of cultures as well, younger players, older players. Some interesting choices in, I think, from AC/DC to right down to
to be fair, AC/DC was mine, but
talking about horrendous, and then obviously some Marshallese artists as well. that's gonna be maybe we'll do when the squad's revealed. We can also reveal what each of our song picks were as well.
Yeah, I think so.
An interesting team building exercise, but no, really interesting. I mean, in terms of the US Virgin Islands squad, we're hopefully going to get wind of that this week, which will be
24th.
great.
Yeah,
24th. So obviously, from a logistics point of view, we're holding on because we've had to book accommodation and stuff, but we don't know who of our players are coming just yet. But yeah, super excited for that. Ozark United, we'll touch upon the fixture list later on. We won't actually be playing them head to head ourselves. They're here as kind of opposition to give extra game time to Turks and Caicos and US Virgin Islands. But yeah, I'm sure there'll be stiff opposition. And excited to kind of see what team when they announce who they'll be playing as well. So yeah, really interesting stuff. And our squad will announce, we'll say next Sunday. You can hold that to us. Sunday, 27th of July, the Marshall Islands first ever international men's national team squad reveal. In terms of where we're heading to as well, that map's probably also hoping to be a little bit bigger, but that tiny red dot in the middle of the US is where we're heading. So it's probably worth a question if people don't know. Hopefully you do, but we're playing our matches in Springdale, which is a city in northwest Arkansas. Arkansas probably is, and you might rightly say so, isn't known as a hotbed of soccer yet. Justin, Lloyd, kind of opening up. If people don't know why we're playing here, why are we going to Springdale, and why aren't we playing in the Marshall Islands for our first match?
So Justin, obviously, Justin can touch on his one in a minute because obviously he was the first person to hold the camp in terms of a group that was going to be linked towards building where we're at now. But in terms of Arkansas, yeah, it's especially Springdale, it's the largest community of Marshallese people outside of the Marshall Islands itself, around 20,000 people in around northwest Arkansas. It's a huge community, and it's only ever growing. Every year it grows from the amount of people that go from Madrid to Arkansas to Springdale. And the reason we're not playing in Madrid itself is we wanted to do it right. We wanted to have the right game, so we wanted to make a big spectacle of it. And it was difficult to attract FIFA nations to come and play in Madrid against the team in their first game, because I think it's one of those things where it's going to be a hefty cost regardless of where you play, but it's almost a bigger risk if you're doing it somewhere you've got to travel a long way to in a game you don't, and in an event you don't really know what's going to happen. And we wanted to make sure there's still a huge Marshallese connection, which is why we've ended up in Springdale. But the aim for it is obviously to play as many games in the Marshall Islands itself over time, lots of games in the future. But using this as an opportunity to show what we can do, why we're doing it, hopefully we can be competitive and that we can attract people to come to Madrid next time.
I think very well said.
I think it's the wisest decision, Lloyd. The dream one would be to have played Maduro first game, but the opposition, we're not going to be travelling there. We have got people coming from different places, and it makes sense with the community there. I mean, let's not forget as well, we've been looking at European-based players as well, haven't we? So we also expected to be bringing players in from Europe.
Justin has a great story on that one, by the way.
I don't know whether we should be telling that story.
We'll pencil that one in for a couple of episodes time, I think.
Yeah. We'll just leave a teaser that I went to look at a couple of players in Germany, and it was a very interesting weekend. We'll leave it like that. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it another time, shall we?
Yeah.
Yeah. But it makes sense. I think in these circumstances and in the future, we of course will be playing at home. But all the players are there. All the players we want to be there will be there. So I think it's the right choice.
Yeah,
and I think as well, like talking on that as well, player-wise, we do still have a couple of players that would love to be involved in this, and they couldn't because with the sort of compact agreement between the Marshall Islands and the US, it's a nice route to be able to go into work in the US Army, and we've got one in particular strong player in Keika Jacob. A couple other players that we know of that are very talented players that are unable to play in this fixture because they've just sworn into the US Army. They're on active duty, can't get off during these games, but are still huge parts of what we want to do in the future.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting note as well. And obviously, it's one thing you mentioned obviously we can maybe control a little bit more with this tournament being in the US. For us, we want to be able to live stream the matches. So I'm hoping if all goes to plan, we'll be able to announce that within the next 7 days as well, about how people can tune in around the world, as well as doing in-person attendance also. But I guess it's worth touching upon the costs actually to us as a federation, because we're not receiving any external funding right now. This is all completely bootstrapped, it's probably right saying to use, where we're kind of self-funding, self-raising. We had a Kickstarter earlier this year, and that Kickstarter essentially allowed us to pay for the flights for all of our players to attend. So we're looking at approximately, I don't know if to do it in dollars or pounds, but let's say £2,500 at least to get a player from the Marshall Islands to the US and vice versa. So that's something that's kind of figured into our kind of squad building as well. So when we announce a squad as well, we can kind of mention that as well, Lloyd. But kind of an interesting thing to note as well.
Yeah, definitely.
In terms of we'll try not to give too many spoilers for all our future content as well. But yeah, in terms of where the games are being played as well, if anyone's wondering, so this is the hallowed turf we'll be stepping onto, the Jarrell Williams Bulldog Stadium, Springdale High School. This is obviously something was agreed a long time ago. Lloyd, maybe you can speak about kind of where this is, where it sits. Obviously, our relationships with the partners who are kindly providing us with their facilities. It is an artificial turf, and it's a kind of ground share with their soccer. It's a joint use soccer and American football stadium too. But I think it strikes us as it can be a great facility, and really look forward to getting there.
Honestly, it's unbelievable. Like, we grew up in the UK, and you look at high schools here, just it's nothing, is it really, in terms of sport? And you look at that, it's just unbelievable. I can't remember what the capacity is, but Matt, you might know a bit more than me. I can't remember on that one, but you look at that, it's just an unbelievable facility for us to go and play in.
6,000, I believe, is a written capacity. Yeah, I don't know if you if either of you guys ever played Pro Evo, the computer game. I don't know if it's pre 2004. And you could go through career mode, and one of them was you could start as a high school, and it was literally just like my high school, a field with a building next to it. And in the States, they're doing things slightly differently, aren't they?
It is,
because this doesn't compute with me if it's a high school stadium, 6,000 capacity. It's state of the art. It's got, I think, 1 or 2 electronic screens as well. But
you look at the change rooms as well. Like, we've seen obviously the background pictures and stuff like that. It's just crazy, really, where we're playing. But no, we had a couple of other options, didn't we? And we wanted to explore everything, really. But this felt a right fit, being in Springdale itself.
I was gonna mention Northampton Town. I'm a big Northampton Town fan, but we're looking at capacity of about 8,000.
Yeah.
So it's a nice stadium we're playing as well. So it's a decent stadium.
Yeah, it looks great. Obviously, we're really excited to get there. As Lloyd mentioned, we've seen the pictures behind the scenes as well, in terms of there's 3 locker rooms for all of the teams, a VIP suite, broadcasting facilities too. So what we want to be able to do is put on a really professional event. Even though we are complete amateurs, we want it to be as professional as possible. So we'll be looking at all this in terms of live streaming setup, something we're working on behind the scenes right now. Artificial pitch though, it's going to, and that's pretty standard, I guess, across the US too. So looking forward to that.
The biggest confusion is going to be when people start picking the ball up on the wrong lines.
It will confuse me seeing all those lines as well. I'm not going to lie. It'll take some getting used to, but
it's different.
I'm sure we're quick learners. But in terms of facilities, Justin, obviously you've kind of played around the world as well. This is going to be quite an experience for the players, at least for the RMI squad as well, to get a chance to play in such a nice arena.
Yeah, I think it's perfect in terms of size. In all honesty, you could play in a 30,000 stadium, and it wouldn't feel as good as this is going to feel. I don't know how many are going to come down and watch, but it's a great. I've not been to Arkansas, but what I've seen from the pictures and what we've talked about, it's a great facility, and it's what an opportunity for these lads, to go and play somewhere like, never mind play for your national team, but to go and play on these facilities. No excuses really, are there?
Yeah, can't be blaming the bounce.
Professional as possible, aren't we? Yeah, can't blame the bounce, but we are making it as professional as possible. I was asked the other day on a podcast that, is it going to be like Meme Machine, where they see the kit for the first time when they're in the changing room? It's like, no, we are making it as professional. We are going to make this as sort of home comfort feel as possible and make you feel comfortable, make you feel wanting to be there, but also make you feel like you earn the right to be there, not just a gimmick. You know, this is professional on our part. We want to make that as possible, as sort of professional as possible.
I guess I'm just thinking, you know, Matty Billyland, we played at Sutton United. And that's a fair. It's probably not as impressive as this stadium, but a decent little stadium, yeah. And again, it was AstroTurf. But when you get down there and you see the changing rooms and you see a proper big stand and a decent pitch and a bit of a crowd in, you know, it's you're in a professional atmosphere, and you know you've got to step up to it.
Yeah, 100%.
Nice. So talking about obviously the fixtures we've got lined up. So this is all local time to Arkansas, which I believe is 5 hours behind. I really need to brush up and sharpen up on my timekeeping for this. So for anyone wishing to kind of tune in and watch, not just across the States, but
6 hours behind the UK.
6 hours behind, lovely. So there's obviously, it's going to be a bit of a challenge for us. Trying to schedule these matches too was a bit of a challenge. Obviously, we want to be mindful of the global fan base who have supported us, the people back home in Marshall Islands, and also the kind of local team too. So I think Saturday is going to be a great day in terms of that's really accessible for both local people to get down and watch it, and also anyone tuning in around the world. The Thursday night, our first ever match, may be a bit of a kind of a red eye one if you fancy waking up early or staying up late to watch us. Yeah. But looking at this kind of schedule, because we kick off with US Virgin Islands versus Turks and Caicos, 2 FIFA nations. So that's going to, I mean, for a neutral, it's pretty exciting. I know there's a lot of people who follow us who are into their kind of rogue and niche football. I think that's going to be a very interesting match for them to kind of watch as a neutral. So we're looking forward to watching that as bystanders. And then we've got 2 double headers. So a bit of a challenge, obviously, for the US Virgin Islands and Turks and Caicos to play matches back to back. But we wanted for them to give them as much opportunity to get match practice as possible. Bearing in mind they're paying out of their own pockets to come and fly over and play us. So giving them as much kind of on pitch time as possible. So Turks and Caicos versus Ozark United leads us in on the Thursday evening. And then it's, looking ahead to our first ever match. So that's going to be quite a celebration. Kickoff time, 8 p.m. May bring up forward by half an hour, but currently penciled in for 8 p.m. And on Saturday, we're looking a bit more of a kind of festival of football. So kicking off of Marshall Islands against Turks and Caicos and finishing the tournament off with US Virgin Islands versus Ozark United. In terms of the kind of, it's quite a tight turnaround. Obviously, the Turks and Caicos and US Virgin Islands are bringing, is it 20, 21 players? Can't remember off the top of my head.
21, I think, both nations, yeah.
Yeah, so they'll be able to rotate and get plenty of match opportunity. But how's the schedule looking, guys? Like, it's pretty exciting, I think, for me to see it on paper.
It's weird because I was sitting this same schedule about 20 times, and then seeing it now, and like we're talking about it live. It's I don't know what it was. It's just a weird moment just now looking at it, thinking like that's 4 weeks away, but also at the same time you're thinking like this whole project is not geared towards this, but at the same time this has been the biggest question since we started. Like, when's the first game? When's the first international? When's the first 11v11? And obviously it's unbelievable that it's that close.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously we had the opportunity, so we're playing US Virgin Islands for our first ever match. So there's no kind of like real preference there. It's just how we've tried to schedule it so it works out best for all nations. But they're going to be a part of history as well. So I think that was obviously, as you mentioned before, part of their attraction when you speak into their technical directors, for them to come over and be a part of history too. So they don't get FIFA ranking points, but they'll get opportunity to play against us.
I think, and potentially there might be more interest in this game than some of their games. No disrespect to them, but we hope there's going to be a lot of global attention for these games, right? So, I mean, absolutely no disrespect to those nations, but they're not always viewed outside of the nations themselves. So, more of a broader global audience for them, I think.
I think that's a really interesting point, Justin. Obviously, we haven't discussed this yet, and that's maybe a topic for a future program. But the Outrigger Challenge Cup is actually a concept we've come up with as the Marshall Islands. We did a pilot tournament last year. We did a futsal event in the Marshall Islands, and we invited Kiribati and the Federated States of Micronesia to compete. But we actually want to use the Outrigger tournament format as a way to maybe shine a light and provide a platform for some of these lesser well-known nations to compete. And hopefully, with the attention, this being our first ever match, we can provide a platform for some of the players to stream it live around the world. Who knows who might watch something, pick up a player, you don't know where it might lead. So yeah, we just want to kind of shine a light on, provide more opportunities for smaller nations who are maybe kind of underutilized previously.
Yeah,
definitely. So moving on to kind of this is what we announced earlier this week. So Lloyd, your first ever national team kind of coaching staff. Obviously, Justin is assistant head coach too. So I don't know if you want to just maybe wheel through, obviously, who you've called up, maybe why. Tell us a little bit about each person. And obviously, we've got our team of analysts on there as well. And pardon my terrible Canva imagery. We'll just have to do for now.
Yeah, no, it's been amazing. And I think picking out a group of people was a tough task because there are so many people that probably could have actually justified being in the group as a coaching staff member. I think being there, the sort of the nation's first head coach, it was always something that I thought originally, if you're the technical director, you don't really want to be the head coach as well because it does overlap and too much. But I think it overlaps in the sense of we understand the project, and the same for Justin. Really, it only makes sense for us to run with this story, run with this project because we know it, we know the players, we know the aims, we know where we want to take it, and I think we can set the ball rolling on that. So obviously, at least to Justin. I've obviously known Justin for a very, very long time, but has been instrumental as alongside us in terms of this project himself. Good background of coaching, and hopefully, we can put that into practice working together. Dean, I think I touched on it a minute ago. I've known him for a very long time, and now randomly he's in Arkansas with a job. So it made sense that as a national champion, as a head coach, good person to have around, and he's going to be a massive person to have in the group as a character, but also his coaching knowledge and background. Tony is our Marshall Islands men's national futsal team head coach. Good background of playing 11v11 and futsal in Solomon Islands, but lives in Madro, been there for 9 years, coaches every week, most sessions for us every week as well, kids and adults, and is hugely instrumental, and he's going to be a huge person to have around the group. Matt Breyer, Justin knows him very well, has worked with Justin when he was with Matabeleland, but also as a player. He is a former Newcastle United goalkeeper, reserve team goalkeeper, played at a very good level in the US, and now is a college coach in the US as well, and looking to do some outreach with the Marshallese communities around him. Jack is going to be overseeing our kit operations during the games. Was part of the Kickstarter campaign and basically donated his time and money to be a part of it, which is hugely appreciated. Mike Wheeler is a lead analyst. Mike was my analyst at Oxford City when I did the 23s team there, and he was fantastic. We worked really well together, and I think obviously myself, Matt, and Justin are in a group with the analysts, and the content that all three of them are driving, but Mike's overseeing and pulling it all together and collating it is really good content, really good information around what we want it to do and linked to how we want to play and what we want to focus on. Ross had actually reached out to me a long time ago. I think he got lost in the messages and just picked it back up. Good experience, is a scout. And the name has gone from me, but I want to say it's Airdrie, as a first team scout for Airdrie in Scotland, but he's specialising on the goalkeeper side of it. And then Ronan works in the college game, fresh out of uni, but he's a analyst who's focused on set pieces for us. And like we just said a minute ago, it's the content that they are pulling together collaboratively as a three is really strong content, and hopefully that allows us to do what we need to do on the ground to get something as a result.
I think just before we hand over to Justin as well, because Justin's probably worth, obviously, Lloyd mentioned you worked with Matt Prayer before in the past as well with Matabeleland. So it might be worth firstly talking about kind of that, how you've worked together previously and what we can expect from Matt. But also I think it's worth maybe to lead off with, Justin, seeing the squad we put together here, just as coaching the squad, by the way, very strong. Obviously, these are all volunteers, some of which we've been able to cover a portion of which their travel and accommodation. Other people are paying to come over and be part of out of their own pocket as well. So how lucky are we to have such a strong and deep kind of resource to lean upon?
No, I genuinely, because the fact we're not paid. We're all very grateful to be involved, but it's a good group with good experience, and these are guys who are working currently at a very good level. And you mentioned Matt. Worked obviously with Matt 2018. I actually I saw him. I actually played against him in Latvia. He was over on a trial team. That's how we first met. But anyway, fast forward, he helped us in London, and he worked together with Bruce Grobbelaar. And to give you an idea of how good he is, Bruce he almost ended up head coach of one of the leading club teams in South Africa, without giving too much private stuff away there. But he wanted to take Matt with him to go and work in South Africa. So, and that was after spending a couple of weeks in London at the CONIFA World Cup. So that's how highly Bruce Grobbelaar rated him as somebody that's worked with hundreds of people all over the world. And personally speaking, Matt's excellent to work with. And I think it's having that connection as well, that bond between people. Lloyd knows myself and Dean well. We all know Tony. I know Matt, and we all interact there. And I think we've all got something to add, and I suspect there'll be a good energy about the group.
100%. I think with Jack, we'll probably invite him on as a separate guest because he's got an interesting backstory, what he does on the side, and why he's been motivated to contribute both financially and give his time to this project. So we'll bring Jack on separately, I think, and dive into that a little bit deeper. But yeah, that's really, I think it's really interesting in terms of just showing the power of a network. Even how you guys kind of first met as well, kind of speaking to each other via Twitter for a few years. And then, fast forward a couple of years later, and you're on the verge of being part of a national team's first ever international match, which is huge. Obviously, Mike and Ross, unfortunately, they won't be with us in person. We probably need subtitles anyway. I think we could have struggled with the Scottish and Scouse accents, but they've been enormously impressive in terms of resources they've given us virtually. Ronan, who's based in the States, I think he's actually going to be, well, he will be flying out, paying out of his own pocket to come and join us. So we'll have an in-person analyst too. So really excited about that. A great vote. But I mean, for me, it just strikes me how lucky we are to have a team of kind of 9 people just on the coaching and analyst side as well, which is probably the envy of quite a lot of other international and I dare I say even professional teams in some places wouldn't be able to lean on that kind of resource.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Nice one. Well, I'll be honest, I've messed up a little bit of the Q&As. I cannot see any questions coming in. Maybe if you've submitted a question.
I can see a question on Twitter. Just bear with me.
Lloyd, if you could check Instagram for me, that might be useful, and we can maybe.
Yeah, I was thinking that actually. Give me a second.
Bad Dog Sports. What I'm reading these live, so I hope they're
self-filtering.
What are the biggest challenges facing soccer development in the Marshall Islands currently? How is the federation working to build grassroots programs across the islands? Your starter for 10, Lloyd, if you could sum that up in a minute or so.
Right, you're going to have to repeat it. I really apologise, but I was trying to flick through questions on Instagram.
In English or
in Marshallese?
Yeah, in Marshallese. What are the biggest challenges facing soccer development in the Marshall Islands currently, and how is the federation working to build grassroots programs across the islands?
Yeah, no problem. So in terms of building across the islands first, Madro was the main focus originally because it's the biggest island. It's the one that holds the national stadium, but also the biggest facilities and also the biggest number of players. We decided to go with futsal because futsal was the closest transition to, or closest relation to basketball. And basketball was played everywhere. And being a new sport, we needed to understand that people are going to be able to adopt to the game and have the sort of interest to do so. So using courts, it was 5v5, attack as a team, defend as a team, transition. And futsal related really well to that, and people bought into it quite quickly. And we realized that technically players were joining in, wanting to be part of it, were actually naturally gifted with it, but also this developed. So Majro grew. We now have sessions every week, kids and adults. We're into schools on Majro from a school curriculum that was rolled out, but also we then spiraled out to eBuy loosely. So we have sessions on a weekly basis when possible, because it is a little bit different on eBuy. But yeah, it runs there. Kwajalein now comes under the Martial Arts Soccer Federation banner, and that is amazing because there is a thriving soccer community on Kwajalein itself, with the US military base, and the people live within it. But also that now comes under our banner, which is huge because they have their own league and have their own structure to it. Across the outer islands, it is difficult because venues are non-existent. It's very small populated, but very small condensed land. And that's something that we're not going to have to combat over the next however long, but we aim to do that. Whether that starts small with, introduce your taking balls in and letting people play, but we'll get there. In terms of the biggest challenge, I guess, in terms of developing on island, it's just lack of resources in terms of coaches, realistically. Tony does what he can, and he does an amazing job with that, but he has a full-time job, he has a young family, and he couldn't really take on more. We have a couple of other people that also help out, that's, the young families, jobs, and it's difficult to do so. So getting someone out there regular basis is key. And for us, that just comes down to finances and being able to make that happen. We had 2 guys from Kiribati come over to coach for 3 months earlier this year, and we aim to do that again with those guys at the back end of this year or early 26, hopefully back end of this year. But I guess then that links into transportation, because Majro is small, but it's still big in the sense of if you've got a session with one community and you're 26 miles away, the other end of the island, you're not walking it. So you need transport, and for us, we need a federation vehicle. And if there's a kind donor out there, if there's a car company, salesman or something who wants to give us one, then we'll welcome it.
Yeah, I feel like that's probably something for our bonus episodes, Lloyd, the story of how the federation bought a car that didn't work.
Basically, yeah, that's another one that can go on to Justin's European trip.
Can I jump in there? Another thing, because I had somebody asking about this the other day, about the opportunity to volunteer out there as a paid placement. Somebody was asking about that to me for a coaching friends. Matt, could you just explain about that opportunity? It's something we're looking at as well, isn't it?
Yeah, so we have that advertised on our website. There are opportunities to do so. Fortunately, even though we're not an accredited member association of OFC for Oceania, I was signed up as a coach educator to deliver coaching courses for OFC. So we can deliver OFC coaching courses, certificates from grassroots youth and senior certificates. We've done 2 cohorts, I want to say now, one in Majro, one in Kwajalein, and we are offering paid placements, coaches to go out for, I can't remember off the top of my head what they are, 1, 3 or 5 months, I believe, for varying packages, which covers your accommodation, your coaching qualifications, your on-island transport, and your food. And you have the opportunity to go out and coach and make a difference in the country.
Yeah, I think it's definitely one for the for explorer. That's definitely a once in a lifetime opportunity. Yeah, so unfortunately, we love it when people reach out to us asking how they can get involved. Unfortunately, it's one where due to the nature of our finances and how we're structured, we are needing people who are able to kind of pay for themselves. So we put together this package, which we think offers real good value for money in terms of Lloyd being a OFC licensed coach educator. You get a signed off OFC qualification, opportunity to spend time in the Marshall Islands, which is obviously a wonderful nation, as we well know. A chance to kind of develop soccer firsthand and really be one of the founders and getting involved and rolling up your sleeves and training future coaches. I think one of the other things people might have asked is in terms of the representation, in terms of the national team squad coaching. We're not in a position right now. There's not really any strength or depth because there's not any kind of qualified Marshallese coaches we're aware of. Our dream for the federation, we're trying to build something that is really long lasting. It's going to outlive us. But every time we go to the island, Lloyd, you're training new coaches to be able to deliver sessions at a grassroots level, and hopefully that then kind of builds. And in the future, we'll have strength and depth with Marshall Lee's coaches. Just to kind of increases that as well. So that's kind of on our roadmap too, just to sum up that question.
One more question. How important is regional cooperation? And it specifically asks about the OFC, but I guess you can, again, Lloyd, you might want to talk more broadly than the OFC.
In terms of applications?
How important is regional cooperation within the OFC?
Sorry, got you.
Goals for international competition participation. So, it's a question about OFC membership or other bodies, I think.
I think for us, we had good justifications for 3 routes. You look at a map and you instantly think it's going to be falling under Oceania. Geographically or logistically, it actually is really difficult to get from the Marshall Islands to some of the OFC member nations. Some of them are really so far spread out that it would be difficult, and there are not direct flights, so you'd have to go almost Australia and then out, or New Zealand and then out, which is also via Australia from the Marshall Islands. And I think, not really ashamed to say it, we've not really been supported and welcomed by OFC. I know that they've obviously been generous enough to let us deliver coach education courses, but when we submitted an application to become a member, we ticked off every box that was published publicly as a requirement to be able to become a member nation. And we ticked every box off in terms of affiliate membership, and we ticked most off to be a full member. But it wasn't acknowledged directly to us, at least. But we also have good justifications for AFC, for Asia. Logistically, it's easy to get to Guam. It's easy to get to any of the East Asian nations. There's an East Asian culture in the Marshall Islands, in certain places, and they've been quite welcoming. The other justified route is CONCACAF. And same again, you look at a map and you almost think the opposite. You think that's quite a long way away, but there are direct flights from Majuro to Honolulu, and then from Honolulu you can get to mainland US or any other CONCACAF nation via the US. You can go via Guam into other CONCACAF nations. So CONCACAF is actually a good route for us as well, potentially. There is a good, political and operational connection between Marshall Islands and the US. We have good footballing links to CONCACAF nations. So we've explored that route as well. So we'll see what happens. We've got a real opportunity to go one way, and at this point we don't want to close it off. And I think for us, we just want to build partnerships around every confederation and see where it takes us.
Sounds good. Any other questions from your side, Justin?
No, these are the ones that have come up on Twitter on the feed. So I think when we do our we were saying we're going to do more of these Q&As, aren't we? So I think next time there'll hopefully be a few more questions we can discuss.
Nice. Anything popped up on Instagram, Lloyd?
I couldn't see any, to be fair.
No, nice one.
It might just be my bad connection.
Got away with that. I mean, if anyone's interested as to what exactly is going on with the planning of the tournament, just on the side there whilst Lloyd was answering, just replying, trying to get referees kit for the tournament. So there's always a WhatsApp message waiting. So
I dream about us not having ball boys last night as well for the game, and players not having shin pads. So this is
on the brain.
Waking up in cold sweats about shin. I mean, I think we did feel this the other day. I think our players are going to have shin pads and boots, and Lloyd's been able to assist with that. And I mean, it's a very real thing because the players we're dealing with, and we'll talk about this when we announce the squad, they're coming from a range of different backgrounds. So a lot of things we take for granted in the UK it's not transposable. It's completely different for them. So we shouldn't even just, to be honest. So as players who've grown up, they've been playing futsal. So they've not really had exposure. I know they have recently to playing on a grass pitch. So what type of boots you wear?
Now, don't
and then artificial. And you got
artificial. This is different.
Yeah. So actually, it's very real small considerations, which as Justin alluded to, we kind of have another brainwave each day. And if we can't answer it, we log it on a massive spreadsheet and make sure it's dealt with later on. Ball boys, I'm not sure about. I think we're almost there. We have actually got some mascots sorted, courtesy of Woody. So maybe they can double up as ball boys too. Or if anyone's willing to volunteer, we'll have some options that as well. Probably shout on that note as well. Shout out to obviously a sponsor we landed within the past week, Park SSC, who are supplying our match balls. I think it's just nice for us to work with like-minded companies who we've obviously partnered with Player there in the past, and Park do a lot of social good as well. So they've donated some balls we can take to the Marshall Islands for community sessions too. So really invested in the long-term growth of our project. Anything else you think we should talk about this time, or do you think people have probably had enough of us an hour in?
We've got a week to work out what we talk about next, so I think we'll leave it. Potentially leave it there, and we'll build our squad out and any other sort of topics we can work on.
I think tentatively we'll look at doing a squad announcement next Sunday. I think we've had it. Obviously, we've known it for a while, but we want to kind of make sure we kind of announce it in the right way. And if there's anything else in the meantime, anyone wants to know about this project, what we're working on, and it doesn't just have to be the Outrigger Challenge Cup. I know that is the headline grabber at the moment, but there's a lot of really interesting things happening on the ground too. So as you can tell, we love chatting about this day and night, but we'll probably leave it there for now, gents. Really appreciate your time. Any closing remarks?
Keep following, keep sharing the words, keep raising awareness of what's going on, and hopefully we can achieve more goals.
Yeah, buy the shirt if you haven't done already. By the way,
and that's, if anyone is waiting for a shirt, it's on me. I'm the one who packs and sends them out. So I need to email out the latest batch of customers and get some packages sent out. So yeah, well reminded, Justin. Appreciate that. Nice one. Well, appreciate your time, gents. And yeah, thank you everyone if you have tuned in. I appreciate your support too. Look forward to chatting to you all soon. Enjoy Sunday evenings. Bye-bye.
Cheers.